It's an absolute pleasure to meet you.
You too.
When you're doing a film like this, how much preparation work do you go into? Do you start reading books about your character, or do you start reading, talking to family members and?
For Edith, unfortunately, there wasn't much research to be done because not many people knew, or not much is to be known about her storyline. So I did whatever I could. There were photos that I found of her and Tolkien, but also like one specific of her that was a portrait style, but there was this like cheekiness behind her eyes that I really associated with. But because there wasn't much about her specifically, I did research on women of the time and what it would have felt like to be a woman in that social situation, and she was an orphan, and just kind of what she would have been capable of. So being able to try to mold the two of those things together to create a well-rounded person that I would have loved to have met, but unfortunately wasn't able to.
For the information that was available, even the period that you looked at, what was the most interesting fact that you found out about it?
Well, I didn't know she was an orphan.
Oh.
It's so interesting because both she and Tolkien were so, they felt so, I don't know, there was like a very old school quality to them. Even though it's a period piece, they do feel very modern, but there was this history between the two of them that felt like a kindred spirits of sorts right away, and it makes so much sense, the idea that they lived at the same house as orphans together. They would have had that connection right away, and so realizing that, I thought, oh wow, okay, that makes so much more sense now in a way.
You mentioned period piece, and this is one of my favorite things to talk about with films, are set designs and props. And if there's,
amazing.
If you could take anything from that set on this one, what would you take?
Oh wow, I loved that ring that she's playing with in the opera scene, the opera sequence, because to me had all of our little props there to look at. I saw that and thought, oh, that's ironic. It's a ring. Why don't we use that? And Dome had given us kind of free reign of using whatever it is that we found that we liked. And a lot of those props just spoke to me in such a way of, they were all quite magical.
Yeah.
Obviously, the story of the opera and his stories were similar and obviously very fantastical. So a lot of those were quite cool.
We found out that Tolkien basically has an obsession with language. What is an obsession that you have that people wouldn't know about?
I love travel.
Oh.
I'm kind of obsessed with traveling, and I get to do it a lot for work, but not necessarily for fun. And as a kid, I used to travel around with my mom and go to different countries and kind of explore different cultures, and I loved that so much, and it's something that I definitely have continued to love and want to do more of, and make a point of doing more trips just for learning and for fun.
We found out also that Tolkien was impacted by his mother along with the father. Who impacted your career to where you are today?
Well, my mom has been such a huge part of my life, and we're very, very close, and I think along the way, just in making decisions about projects that I choose, she's just always been such a sounding board for me in terms of advice, or just kind of hearing me out in terms of making decisions and talking about different characters. And I love having her along for the journey to see the films and see what she thinks, and sometimes travel with her, so it's really nice.
And there's one last question I like to ask everybody. I've been doing this for a while now. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh my God, Spice Girls, Wannabe.
Perfect.
And they're going back on tour, so it's perfect timing.
You gotta get your tickets.
I do, I really do.
Pleasure meeting you.
Nice to meet you too, thank you.